Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to our channel once again. And it is my hope and prayer that this video is going to find you guys in good health. Personally, I am fine. As you can see, Kisumu is fantastic. And maybe you could also let me know where you're watching the video from, the county or the country, in case you are out of the republic. Ladies and gentlemen, the Senate was on fire today. And for the first time, I was proud of the Senate of Kenya. And I really enjoyed the level of the debate on the floor of the House. Aaron Cheriot, the majority leader, set the tempo and the pace for other senators.
As I begin, Mr. Speaker, I'd wish to personally, and this is at a personal level, not even necessarily as Senator for Kericho, majority leader, but just as a leader and somebody who God has granted the opportunity to serve in a position of responsibility in this country, to tender my unreserved apology to the country for either by commission or omission, everything that I have contributed into getting us into the mess and the place that we are in. I have reflected deeply the last few days, Mr. Speaker, and looked through my own journey as an individual and asked myself very serious questions, trying to wear the shoes of the ordinary citizens and how they feel at this particular moment about me as a person. I don't want to focus about any other individual, whichever office they occupy, but just me, a citizen of this country, that God in his own wisdom granted the opportunity to serve in a place of responsibility and try to retrace my steps. What is it that perhaps I should have done better? I have to be sincere, Mr. Speaker, that there were days in the night that I contemplated even quitting and said, perhaps maybe other people can do it. But this is not the time to quit. The country is complaining of a broken system, Mr. Speaker, that nothing works. Absolutely nothing. That this is a rigged economy where only those with proximity to power and the advantage unduly given to them by the spaces they occupy, either in public or private institutions, Mr. Speaker, are able to enjoy living in the country. And we are being asked to repair and fix it. Where this thing has reached, Mr. Speaker, it needs an overhaul. I am afraid that not the usual glue and gum that we put into areas that are leaking will solve this time. It's completely broken. If it's a pipeline, Mr. Speaker, it is time to decommission and set up a new pipeline. That's what I hear as being challenged. We are being told that everybody wants a fair shot at life and not our children to get better chances at education. Better chances, Mr. Speaker. I grew through our public education systems, from primary to secondary to university, Mr. Speaker. And it was the best at that particular time. People are complaining, Mr. Speaker, that unfortunately, as it is today, nobody with a pen in this country take their children either to public, primary, secondary, or even university because it's completely finished, Mr. Speaker. The picture of the primary schools that you all went to, Mr. Speaker, while it served and it worked at that particular time, public education is broken at this time. And we must make radical decision because, Mr. Speaker, that's what they are speaking to. And they are saying, while you guys are okay, what about the kid of the ordinary person? You know, Mr. Speaker, when every time I lost sleep, as I thought through about the issues that we've been through as a country, Mr. Speaker, I asked myself, where is it that we as leaders have lost touch with reality?
Boni Khalwale then picked the microphone.
Or change your life. Mr. Speaker, I equally offended somebody whose name I never mentioned in Kakamega over the weekend about this issue of opulence. I just wondered, how would an MP be able to donate 20 million shillings at a harambe? He was very offended. In another function, I saw a minister of this government carrying a white bag. On the back like this, and started announcing how many millions are in that bag. Said, moja, mbili. No. Mr. Speaker, if we don't refuse these things, people like Murkomen will think that they are giving us their money. It's not their money. Those are proceeds of corruption.
And of course, Edwin Sifuna.
There are some offices that have been created that we do not even understand the basis of their existence. Look at the number of advisors in government. There needs to be a public audit of all these advisors and tell Kenyans why it is okay for one office of the advisor on the economic matters, Honorable Khalwale, to have more money for travel than 9 committees of this House combined. It doesn't make any sense. There is also the specter of personal assistance in government. We need a public audit of that. There was another office that was created, and this one you'll forgive me, Majority Leader, of faith intercessors. We need a public audit of who are these people and why are they earning public money. Honorable Speaker, I had occasion to see one business card of one of those faith intercessors. It was the most powerful business card I have ever seen in my life. Honorable Speaker, you have spoken about the office of the First Lady, and I am happy that the President himself took a first initial step to say that office will cease existing from, I think he said, Monday of this week. It had 285 employees. I am telling you, the Deputy President, the wife of the Deputy President's office, 100 employees. Honorable Speaker, we cannot continue like this. Then there is a specter of retreats, and this one, we are all guilty as budgets in this House, and see where we can make major concessions and cuts for members of the public to feel that we are actually lessening the burden and not increasing the burden. And I want to give a personal example, and you'll forgive me if I'm giving out house secrets. Honorable Chair, when I became the Deputy Minority Whip, I was allocated a vehicle, a GK vehicle. On the first day that I used that car to go home, I passed through the expressway. I was shocked, Honorable Speaker, at the amount of money that is on my ETC card for my parliamentary car. As of this morning, when I used that same car to come here, there is 377,000 Kenyan shillings on my ETC. There is 377,000 Kenyan shillings on the ETC of the vehicle that have been given by Parliament. It does not make sense. It does not make sense, Honorable Speaker. So what you do, members of Parliament, the staff of Parliament have to be honest with Kenyans. In the way the budgets of Parliament are prepared, there are ways and means of reducing the expenditure in this House in a manner that will reduce the burden on taxpayers. I honestly do not need all that money. Even if I ran up and down the expressway for a year, I would never exhaust 370,000 Kenyan shillings.
As a matter of fact, all senators today were impressive on their delivery. But in this video, I want us to focus on unsolicited advice that Boni Khalwale gave to President William Ruto. Boni Khalwale advised the president to do 3 things.
Finally, things to do. Mr. President, dissolve cabinet, reconstitute it. Mr. President, disband offices outside the Constitution, including CAS, including Prime Cabinet Secretary. It is not in the Constitution of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, including officers of First Ladies, including, Mr. Speaker, advisors. If advisors are useful, then what David Ndii is doing is not advice, is misadvice. Mr. Speaker, the President should quickly restructure the security organs by firing people, the IG included. And finally, but not least, all the Sky teams must be grounded. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'm on.
Dissolve the cabinet. Number 2, fire the advisors, including David Ndii. And importantly, he also advised the president to disband Musalia Mudavadi's office. That's a serious political statement. And of course, he went further and even included the IG of police and the Sky team. But before we dissect Boni Khalwale's speech, in case you are watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click the subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support. Because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, allow me to dive in. But again, before I dive in, allow me to also take this opportunity to thank the following people. You are seeing their names on the screen there for the coffee which they sent to me earlier today. It goes a long way in supporting the channel. Ladies and gentlemen, let us dive in. Boni Khalwale is advising the president to do three things. The first thing is advising the president is to dissolve the cabinet. What message do you think Boni Khalwale is telling the president? That the cabinet, his cabinet, has actually failed. In fact, someone was explaining somewhere that almost all cabinet secretaries in William Ruto's government invested heavily in the last campaign, and that their appointment were merely a reward. And the guy made sense. And therefore, most of them are in office because they feel entitled to those offices and that they are busy making money. That's why they are lethargic. So by Boni Khalwale advising the president to dissolve the entire cabinet and constitute another one, he is simply telling the president that Kenyans don't want that cabinet. And that is the truth. Number two, he's also talking of the advisors. When William Ruto came into office, he appointed several advisors. And these advisors, they have been allocated huge budgets. But are they really advising the president on anything? Are they? Boni Khalwale is telling the president that most of these guys are actually burden on Kenyans, but still, instead of advising you, they are misadvising you. And he's also talking of something which is very important. He's advising the president to disband Musalia Mudavadi's office. Now, let's just look at it critically. Do you think William Ruto can disband Musalia Mudavadi's office? And what would be the political implication if that office were to be disbanded? What would be the implication? Because for William Ruto, he had to have Musalia Mudavadi and Weta on his side. Wetangula is currently patched as the Speaker of the National Assembly. He's safe there. But for Musalia Mudavadi, according to Boni Khalwale, that office is unconstitutional. So can William Ruto fire Musalia Mudavadi and then still expect to win the Luhya votes? Swala nyeti there. And of course, there's also the politics of the 2027 politics. What role is William Ruto planning to assign Musalia Mudavadi? Of course, you all know that the mountain is drifting away from William Ruto. That's a fact. So there is the Luhya equation which William Ruto is working on. So if, for example, today Ruto were to kick Musalia Mudavadi out of that office, let's say he's retained as a Minister for Foreign Affairs, between Weta and Mudavadi, who is going to be more powerful? And of course, there's also the element of the Luhya unity. Now we have a fellow lawyer calling for the disbandment of an office being held by another lawyer. Very interesting. But why do you think Boni Khalwale spoke the way he spoke? Number one, there is the Gen Z effect. The truth of the matter is that the politics of the Republic of Kenya will never be the same again after the demonstrations which were led by the Gen Zs. Whether they will not hold another demonstration, but the fact is, the message is home. These guys can decide to do what they want anytime, anywhere. Boni Khalwale is just reacting to the demands, because one of the demands the Gen Zs placed on the table is that dissolve the cabinet, fire the advisors. These unconstitutional offices, remove them. Number two, Boni Khalwale is also communicating to William Ruto about the silent disapproval of his appointees. Number two, Boni Khalwale is basically communicating to William Ruto silent disapproval of his appointees. Let me ask you, if you take William Ruto's cabinet today, do you think they were the best? Do you think Muchogo, what is his name? The Minister for Education, the Cabinet Secretary for Education, do you think is the best guy for that ministry? You can list all of them. There is serious disapproval of his appointees amongst Kenyans. And that is what Boni Khalwale is telling the president, that as much as you have these guys, Kenyans really don't approve them. Number three, Boni Khalwale has probably read the mood of the country. And the mood of the country is that you should not continue taxing us when we have these guys feasting on our behalf. And number four, there's also the element of fighting impunity. One of the things that made the Gen Zs to come out of their comfort zone is because certain things were being done in this republic with impunity. You just wake up, you say, okay, we are going to put VAT here, we do this, we do this. The constitution is very clear that before you pass a finance bill, there must be public participation. People go to those public participation, they reject all these things, then you decide you are going to impose them. Impunity. And the impunity is the office of the prime cabinet secretary. Then you don't end there, you go further and you find the office of the wife or the spouse of the prime cabinet secretary. Things which are not in our constitution, gobbling a lot of money. I was told by someone that the office of the first lady has close to over 200 people employed, doing nothing. And then you want to tax other Kenyans to enrich them, spending money on very unnecessary stuffs. And lastly, there is also the political reality, which is now hitting Kenya Kwanza, that their approval rating is coming down. They are moving down very fast. So they have to salvage the situation. And what a better time to salvage the situation than now. This is the moment William Ruto can actually fire the ministers and nothing will happen. Everybody will be just celebrating. I don't know what you think. That's my take. Until next time, this is Lee Makwiny. Bye-bye.